Hello everybody and welcome to another Beyond All Reason video. We're back on the fan favourite map Canis River, proving to be one of the most highly enjoyed 1v1 maps, surprisingly, of Bar recent times. And I say surprisingly because of what kind of map it is. And if this is the first time seeing this map, you will notice that if we zoom on down, you can see there are multiple triple mech starting positions here, so showing that this map is made in and mostly intended to be played in teams. However, the 1v1 community seems to have taken this map into its arms and said, nope, it's ours now, deal with it. And it's been played a lot in 1v1s. So, instantly though, we are seeing that Mr. Ubivator here decided to go for a completely different start than normal. Not going in any of those positions that we mentioned before and being like, stuff it, I'm going to go really far forward. Now, this is a very risky position here. And this replay was actually given to me via Ubivator himself, saying that there was some good games between him and Sash, and gave me this replay. So we'll see what Ubivator has in store. And going back quickly down to him, we can see he is in red today and is playing as Armada. Meanwhile, over here, Sashkorin getting harassed by ticks and losing a mechs very early on in blue, playing as Cortex vehicles today. Also, this next tick again, about to get another metal extractor and a third. Sashkorin losing all of his metal extractors very early on. Great scout control here with ticks, and there we go. I was about to say not finishing off that wind, but he did manage to get it, shutting down the solar production of Sashkorin as well for a brief amount of time. We can see here he has no energy production right now. That's going to set Sashkorin back quite a bit. No mech slab first. Funny guy. He's a funny guy. Ubivator, however, only just starting to get some actual combat units on. I've got spectator chat on this time round, and we'll see how it goes. I normally have it turned off. If it gets to be a bit too much, then we'll turn it back off again. But still. Moving back across to Sashkorin's base. Now, Sashkorin's comm has finally left, but the ticks come back in and they're not able to stop them. And they get yet another metal extractor and a wind. Sashkorin really struggling to defend against this very early harass here. That's clearly why Ubivator decided to set up that spot as his starting position there. It means that he's got a lot more work to get any form of, actual meta production going, because he only started with a double mechs. But this harass is amazing by Ubivator here, doing a tremendous job at just keeping Sashkorin on his toes. And he's going to get that metal extractor again. And this is great micro there on the tick as well. If he's paying... Oh, not paying attention to that. But the pawn going to be able to get a solar panel here. And another metal extractor. And a wind. Wow. And the ticks come in to finish off that wind. Sashkorin only now with a single solar collector, whilst trying to defend against all this. This is, well, and after losing all of the free starting metal extractors. No power to run the LLT either. What you briefly saw there as well, while I'll quickly give you an example, is Ubivator, came in this way and this way at the same time. LLTs have the turrets themselves actually have, like, a turning speed So it meant that the turret had to turn, so he got more time. And also what we saw there as well is, if you're new to bar, these units actually have height. So like a metal extractor will actually have height, and he hid the tick under the metal extractor so that the LLT wasn't able to actually shoot at it. You can do that quite a lot when you're you know, early game, when you're trying to hide units from other LLTs and stuff like that. If you get like a tick right next to like a solar collector, then the tick can't shoot. Well, the solar collector can't shoot. Let me rephrase that. The LLT cannot shoot the tick over the solar collector because of how high the unit is in comparison to the solar collector. Bit of a mess, but I got what I wanted said in the end. But yeah, Ubivator right now doing a great job. When you look at his metal income wise, for a brief second there, he was at 90% metal a second over Sashkorin here. And it's going to be difficult for Sashkorin to bring this back after such an amazing early harass by Ubivator here. Also, we see pathing here. These cliffs look like they're not passable, but they are definitely passable by bots. When we press F2, you can see that they can pass over. But if we select the incisor here, the incisor is unable to get over that cliff. So that's another advantage to bots on this map. As a reminder, Garpikes here, the amphibious tanks, do have higher transversability, which means they should be able to go over those ridges. But yeah, just because I'm about mentioning transversability in the last video, and someone very rightly said in the comments about the amphibious. So just remembering to mention it here. Now this is a good counter-attack here from Sashkorin. First time Ubivator's base has been damaged. And Ubivator with no forces actually left to defend here. This is going to be a substantial chunk of damage done. All the construction turrets are going to get destroyed. At least 3. Ubivator without the energy to afford a D-gun there. Losing quite a lot of his energy and his both initial starting metal extractors. But with so much of the map under his control right now, I don't think you really have to worry too much. He's just basically lost energy production. He's already got res bots as well. Like, he could res a lot of this stuff and get himself back under control. He's moving his commander here to try and intercept, because a lot of these metal extractors he has are all expanded nakedly. There's no LLTs there to defend or anything. That will be fine there. Another radar going up. And now I believe we're kind of in a scale up phase. At least for Ubivator. You can see he's got a lot of metal right now. He lost a lot of construction turrets. So his issue right now is going to be getting that build power back up. This LLT is not going to survive. Is he going to go for a control D? Nope. Fortunately not. Ubivator not really ready to pay attention down there. Desperately needing units out, Ubivator right now. So we see a self-destruct here of the LLT. He cancelled it. It needed to be just like a second afterwards and it would have been fine, but unfortunately not the right timing. Again, for those that aren't aware, some units have a bigger explosion radius when self-destructed. The LLT is one of those units. So if you can time a self-destruct well, you can wipe out an entire force like this here. If maybe able to see it in action here. Nope, unfortunately it goes down too quick. And Ubivator struggling to stop these pass-bys now. No real forces able to draw lines in the sand, and this is giving Sashkorin a great chance at coming back. Now this is what you call, well, I don't know how you would say it, but in essence, when you're losing, it's all about trying to take the initiative and making your opponent play your game rather than the game that they're playing. If you're constantly defending all the time, you're just playing into the opponent's goals, right? And so what you need to do is you need to force them to react to you. And the only way you can do that is by sending a small detachment to just go and harass, right? Go different angles. Make him send units somewhere else rather than constantly attacking you. And that is what Sashkorin has done. He was getting his base constantly hammered, and all he did was send a bunch of tanks into the base, and then afterwards he just sent a bunch along the bottom, and now he sent a bunch along the top, and it's just constantly forcing your opponent to have to react to you, putting the initiative back into your control. And because Sashkorin has done that, he is now in a much stronger position and is actually, you know, got it back in control metal wise in terms of metal production and map control. Question is Sashkorin going to be able to hold on to that? And bots themselves as well, for those that aren't aware, are generally slower than vehicles. So Ubivator trying to like chase down these vehicles isn't going to happen. And he needs to maybe think about transition into vehicles himself. Especially before a transition to stouts or something appears. Because if we get some Janices and some stouts, then we're going to have some problems for Mr. Ubivator. Now, also what we just saw there, and we saw a minute ago whilst I was talking about something else, is that we can see that Sashkorin here is very much focusing on destroying wreckages. So once he kills something, he's been trying to kill the wreckage of it. And we saw it over here with a construction bot here. It's turned into just a debris pile. That means your opponent is not able to resurrect. And Autopilot has made a very good point here, that method I was talking about, getting your opponent to, you know, react to you instead of you fighting their game, you have to be careful that you're not then just feeding your opponent instead. Like the last game we watched before, where the opponent was, you know, in a very strong position versus Lopotka, but he just kept sending like a small amount, not like a substantial enough force to actually finish the game. And that is ended up what made them lose to Lopotka, was because they just kept donating units that would then get resurrected. So yeah, it's a fine line. And we're seeing a transition over to Brutes here. What was I on about? Janices. He is Cortex. He's not going to get Janices. Brutes will do very well versus Maces. And surprisingly, we see air coming out from Ubivator here. Now, as I mentioned before, Banshees aren't great, but in this situation, where there's a lot of like mechs positions like on their own, this might be quite useful. And they're low metal cost, low energy. You can get 2 Banshees for the equivalent of 1 bomber. This is not looking good. A large amount of tanks are able to break through into Ubivator's base. Ubivator's comm is not nearby. And also Sashkorin is now getting the alert that air is detected. It's only going to be a matter of time until some air defense is now built up. But argue though that this attack, okay, never mind. I was going to say it isn't too damning, but no. Most of the energy production now of Ubivator has been taken out. Luckily enough, this group at the top survives. All build power has basically been removed as well. And now that these Banshees have been discovered, he probably should make use of them. There's a good side attack up here, and you notice that it's cleared out a lot of these extra metal extractors, which has forced Sashkorin here to move forces over to the right. Also, we see fighters and shurikens also coming out from Sashkorin here as well. And so those banshees are going to be pretty pointless now, as those fighters are going to make so short work of them. Not really much to worry about. But it does mean that we're going to have to see some air coming out from, or some air defense coming out from Ubivator. And there's the good ship getting a single metal extractor. And along the north side, getting a radar. And that is it. Unfortunately, not really enough to write home about here. But Ubivator, I was about to say transitioned to vehicle. No, he's just resurrected all of the vehicles that Sash sent to him. And this is where we see the army value percentage tip here. It's very much on the edge right now. The issue is that there's a group of shurikens starting to spawn here. 6 of them so far. And as of right now, Ubivator has no air defense. Now this could be dangerous. He needs at least something. Some form of air defense. Because otherwise he's going to have issues. Try to build this pop-up air defense, but it isn't going to happen quick enough. That Resbots is very precariously on the edge of the army formation there. And some forces were sent up to the top, but it looks like he's changed his mind here and is bringing them back. And we do see a start to a transition to vehicles here as well. Ubivator with a large amount of metal excess. If he had the energy for it, he would probably transition to Tech 2. Army values are fairly the same right now. I mean, he doesn't necessarily know that, but he's sending this small detachment force here off on a flank, which the incisors actually, surprisingly, do a fairly decent job at shooting down shurikens if they don't get jammed. Now, while we wait for this attack, just one thing to bear in mind. If you do like this sort of bar content, don't forget to subscribe. Only 78% of you are not subscribed right now. How could you? Although, thank you to the 21% of you that are subscribed. What marvellous people you are. And we see a great EMP run there by Sashkorin, managing to grab every single one of those incisors. No problems at all. And this is exactly why we said that Ubivator needs some form of AA, something up. Because attacking for him right now is going to become very difficult with these shurikens constantly causing problems. And a Tech 2 transition we actually do see. Surprisingly, with that lack of energy, Ubivator transitions to Tech 2. Has Mr. Sashkorin seen it yet? No. So you will not have received any notification. Bear in mind again, like we said before, when someone goes Tech 2, they receive a notification saying Tech 2 unit spotted. And until this bull comes into sight, which it just has now, we'll now be aware that Tech 2 has been detected. But the shurikens come in, focus in, or attempting to focus on that bull, but that one flak did an amazing job and has destroyed pretty much all of the shurikens. And now these brutes managed to get in, managing to take out all of the build power. The Tech 2 engineer is up here though, and is currently not being shot at. I think this Tech 2 factory is going to hold. Yes. So all that was lost there was some build power. really. He's already got res bots, so he can get this all of these forces back up and running. Now, the question is how quick can he do that as to Sashkorin? Sashkorin also transition into Tech 2 himself, and this is where we may see who's going to win this. Is can Ubivator get out enough Tech 2 forces before Sashkorin can fully transition to Tech 2 himself? And I'm really surprised. Sashkorin was completely obliterated in the early game and managed to somehow do some amazing raids against Ubivator, bringing it back to an even level. And Ubivator's just been on the back foot pretty much the entire game since those initial raids of Sashkorin's come in. Ubivator has managed to get Tech 2 before his opponent, which is a big deal here, but he doesn't have much in the way of units and has so much metal bank that he is just unable to spend right now. Whereas when we look at Mr. Sashkorin over here, he has no excess metal. He's only just getting up Tech 2 now. The first engineer is coming out. Reclaimed his Tech 1 vehicle lab. And we'll start getting a bit of extra production here as those Tech 2 metal extractors get built. Going for 2 Tech 2 constructors here as well to try and get as many of these metal extractors up as possible. He's also got a geothermal queued. You can see this geothermal over here is actually going to a Tech 2 geothermal. Quite dangerous, especially considering surrounded by a bunch of energy converters. But, you know, do as you do. The good old radar jammers and radar vehicles coming out and a bunch of consoles. What's the plan for these consoles? What is the plan for these consoles? Is he going to sneak over the water and build some hidden units somewhere? Or is he just going to use them as like repair bots or something? Who knows at this point. Good scouting here of Ubivator. Clearly helping him be able to see his opponent is now at Tech 2. And also seeing his opponent's forces there as well. He knows how many forces he has. Only 2 tigers at this point. Sashkorin being very greedy here with the amount of Tech 2 engineers he's got. Currently with 5. That is very, very greedy. Ooh. Now, that is not something you see very often in a 1v1. A long-range plasma cannon is being built by Ubivator. And as that spectator said, yes, lovely, exactly. This is, you never see this in a 1v1. That will do a tremendous amount of damage on the wins of Sashkorin here. And Sashkorin extremely struggling for economy right now as he's building this geothermal. Artillery now pushing from both sides. Just trying to cause a little bit of harass. Right. So, Sashkorin will have now just received that notification that long-range plasma cannons... excuse me. Long-range plasma cannons are targeting your units. And here we go. Tech 2 factory has taken 1 hit so far. 70% health. All the construction turrets are on focusing on that now. Don't know if he's going to have enough damage to take out the factory. Surprisingly, he just doesn't go for, you know, the windmills. Going for metal extractors instead, it seems. to actually... I was going to say, is there even a pop-up turret in there, or is it just a wall formation to make it look like there's one in there? Manages to get the pop-up turret there. Oh, double long-range plasma cannon now starting to do some work. Quite dangerous because he doesn't have much in the way of actual forces. Yeah, as the spectator says, yes, if the unit is low enough health, when it hits, it will kill the unit that's being produced, meaning that the production stops. We actually see him using it mainly to go after the metal production now, though, it seems. Mines being cleared up as well. Ooh. This Tech 2 vehicle lab is not much longer for this world. Sashkorin needs to do something. Oh. Okay. He kind of needs to build power repair in the factory, because if he doesn't have that, then it's game over. If he loses the factory, he can't really afford to lose the factory. Shot comes in. There goes the factory, and it's completely annihilated. No resurrection available for that factory. And this is not looking good for Sashkorin now. Rarely do you ever see long-range plasma cannons in a 1v1, and these mines actually managing to take out this force mostly on the north. And on top of that, he has built a Juno. Autopilot joking around about long-range plasma cannons. Oh, but Sashkorin going for Tech 3. Will this get built or not? That is the question. This is a good play, though. Long-range plasma cannons are only going to be as effective as they are whilst there's no shields up. The shields will last quite a long time. So we see here, this area up top is being targeted by those long-range plasma cannons right now. Single shot gets it down about 10%. But unless he builds a lot of them, he is not going to be able to really break through those shields. But as Autopilot's just said, yes, the energy cost on one of those is a lot. You need a lot of energy in order to build one. If we look on here, you can see the energy cost is 55,000 for a shield generator. You are forcing your opponent to invest 55,000 energy. That's more energy than is required for an advanced fusion. And more energy than... No, not more energy than the experimental gantry, but... Here we go, Shivas are coming out. Oh, but... Ubivator already with some starlights. He's desperately trying to get those starlights down as his main focus here. It does, and actually the explosion of the starlight causes severe damage to all of the balls. And surprisingly, he's not putting the forces here inside the shield, considering, you know, balls plasma. Not only that, but there's a force attacking the top here, trying to get that shield down. Shield manages to just survive. Two Shivas are out. That advanced Geo is moments from being destroyed. And there goes all of the energy and build power. And with that, Sashkorin calls the GG. Who would have thought long-range plasma cannons in a 1v1? Well played, both players. It was very close in the middle stages there. No player really had the advantage. And, wow, it's not something you see every day. But thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.